and let's go down to the college ranks here. Recap week 9 in college football here. Our team of the week here, and I'm up. So I'm gonna go with the team I had in my game of the week. It's gonna be the Georgia Bulldogs. They shut me up. They silenced any questions any of us had. Carson Beck is a dark horse Heisman candidate right now. Just quietly put together. The offense, look what the questions of what the offense was going to look like without Brock Bowers. They just go out and they put up 43 points. Lad McConkey, he finally looks healthy. Dominic Lovett is also kind of settled in as that other reliable pass catcher. And, with that defense, you just don't make mistakes. You don't put any pressure on them. You don't lose the game. Georgia's going to keep finding ways to pull it out. And, like I said earlier in the preamble talk, that this is a team that we just need to stop talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, because at some point, gonna catch them lacking. And I'm hoping, and yeah, I'm not gonna get into that, but Georgia is my team of the week.
I know what you're saying. There. But my team of the week also was from my game of the week. And fun fact for you, their head coach has ties to the University of Georgia, being that he was the defensive coordinator for the 2021 national championship, and that would be the Oregon Ducks. They came out after, a tough loss a couple weeks before to Washington, and their first road game after that, and they absolutely rolled over Utah. That game was over after the first 2 possessions. Oregon gets up 14-0, and you're like, yep, it's just their day. And, on offense, Bo Nix was crisp. He was, what I have my notes here? He was 24-31, 248, and 3 touchdowns. And then on the rushing side of the offensive attack, they ran 127 times for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 sacks on defense, 2 interceptions. But more importantly, they held Utah to 99 yards on the ground. Okay, yeah, that's almost 100 yards, but it was on 36 carries. 2.75 yards a play on the ground for Utah. When they can't run the ball this year, they're going to lose. They're going to lose a lot of games. And Oregon, they looked like they're still probably the best or the second best team in the Pac-12, and they're a college football playoff dark horse. Not a dark horse. They're still in it. They went out. They beat USC. They beat Oregon State. They beat Washington. They're in. They're in the dance, and they dominated last week. And to go into a tough place in Salt Lake City and do what they did, props to Oregon. So they're my team of the week.
Yeah, well, and they also broke a winning streak that went back to pre-COVID. They just said, we don't care about your win streak. We're just going to take it. We're going to end it. And I will go out and say that I think after the Oregon-Washington game, you look at what these two teams have done since then, I'm going to go out and say Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12 right now. I think they are the favorite. I think if there's a rematch, I think Oregon wins. And I'm going to go based off and especially in big games. I will always lean a team with the better defense. And I like Oregon's defense a lot more than I like Washington's defense, but Oregon, Georgia, Dan Lanning is building a Georgia out in the Pacific Northwest.
Strong dudes up front. A lot of defensive linemen from. Remember last year after Georgia and Oregon played Week 1, Kirby Smart went on the record at his press conference and said, "Dan Lanning, thanks. You did a hell of a job recruiting this team and building this defense. You got your today by your players."
Yeah, they did, and that could have been just a bad omen for him, but they just went to work and. Almost made it to the Pac-12 championship game, but they are sitting pretty to make it this year.
And I tell you what, man, there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten who are like, really, this team's coming into our conference right now, next year. There's only 2 teams who I feel are confident where they're like, Oregon, yeah, we can play with them, and that's Michigan and Ohio State. Every other team is like, you've got to be kidding me, really? These guys. So the Big Ten ain't ready for what Oregon's about to bring next year.